I'm Dylan John, and welcome to the channel where we like to cut out the fluff and jump straight into it. I use this first trick all the time on my music actually, and it's kind of a cool echo trick. So this is a vertical video that I'm making for Artlist, who is the sponsor of today's video, and if I play this out, you hear how it kind of echoes out. Now, I probably should have done this on a beat because it's a little bit off. So the trick is, you want to find the point after the sound is made, after that beat is made. So something right about here, and then you're going to press Shift H. This is going to create what's called a hold frame, which is essentially a pause in your clip. So you can do this with video clips as well. And then you're going to go to your effects browser. You're going to type in Cathedral, and you're going to double click or drag to apply Cathedral 2 to your music. But it's applied to the whole clip. So the trick here is to then go into your inspector window. Usually I like to go a frame over by pressing the left arrow key, hit the keyframe button, so this saves whatever parameter this is at, and then I go a frame over and bring this all the way down to 0. So now everything to the left, where we don't want this effect to be applied, will not have the effect applied. And then all in here, where we want to have it applied, we'll have it applied at 50. And then we need to make sure that when the music starts up again, that Cathedral 2 is not still playing. So let's just bring this to the next transition. The music's starting at the next transition. I'll hit the keyframe button, and then we'll go one frame over by pressing the right arrow key and bring this down to 0. So now everything to the right also does not have Cathedral 2. So if we play this out, pretty cool, huh? It's very useful. I use it all the time, and even with sound effects, it's useful with sound effects as well. This next effect trick is similar to that Cathedral trick that we did, but it has a different sound to it. Click on your music clip, go to your effects browser, and search AU low pass, and then add this to your clip. And then once you have that added, all you're going to do is open up your parameters here. We'll go to that point where the shot changes from shot 1 to shot 2, and we will click the keyframe button and swing this far right. And then we're going to go a few frames over by hitting the right arrow key and swing this to about 200, in around 200 to 300. And so here is the effect that we created. You hear how cool that is? So then if we play this out to hear how it sounds in the mix, that'll rock your socks off.
Prepare to have no socks.
Artlist has the highest... Pretty cool, huh? Here's a little pro tip. If you decide that your keyframes for that audio effect are too close together, so in this example, they're like basically just a frame over, and that's resulting in maybe too harsh of a change in that audio effect, with your music selected, press Control A. This is going to bring up your audio editor. So you'll see we have AU low pass. So if we drag this keyframe out, now the effect will be more gradual. So if we play this out, obviously it's not matched with the visuals, but you get the point. You can change the keyframes in the position of your timeline really quickly, whereas the old-fashioned way is to go into your inspector window and start deleting keyframes and then adding them. This is just a much faster way, so that's Control A to open up your audio inspector. The next set of tips is for what's called audio ducking. So that's when you raise or lower music to make sure that your dialogue isn't drowned out by the volume of your music. So this is a vlog that I created when myself and a bunch of other Final Cut Pro YouTubers went to Poland, and in this section someone is saying something, so we want to keep this volume the same, but right here is where we want music to come into play a little bit louder. So what you'll do is you press R to bring up your range tool. You'll go to right where the dialogue starts to end. You will drag this out, and it looks like we have my voiceover starting at about right here. And then all you do is raise this or lower it, depending on what you need. And when you play this out, you'll have louder volume in this area.
Oh my God, that's all over me!
And you can extend this out if you want it to be a bit more gradual. And a little tip, because I know a lot of you probably get frustrated at how fast this raises and lowers. If you hold Command when you move this up and down, it'll make it a much more gradual, slower, smoother motion, so you can fine-tune exactly what volume level you want it at. If at a later point you want to delete those keyframes, press R to make sure your range tool is selected, select that area, and then hit delete keyframes. And part of the reason why I'm doing this is because you don't have to just raise and lower your volume bar. You can actually use a keyboard shortcut that's way faster, and that is Control minus and Control plus. So I have mine mapped to just minus and plus. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But for example, if I just go plus, 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 now we have our music volume raised in this area with just a few presses of some buttons. So that is Control minus and Control plus. So very useful keyboard shortcut to remember. And if you want to map that to just a single key like I have, press Option Command K. This is going to bring up your keyboard shortcut editor. Make sure you have a new keyboard shortcut command set created. So you just press duplicate. You go to the search bar, you type in volume, and you'll see already that I have these selected. So if I wanted to change it back, I hit Control minus. It's going to ask you to reassign. You hit reassign and then save. Now, if you're constantly audio ducking, so you're bringing up the range tool by pressing R and you're lowering and you're doing this constantly and you want a faster way to do this, you can use the range tool, select the range that has the keyframes you want, and all you're going to press is Shift Option C, and that is going to copy those keyframes. So then when you go to a point that you would like to audio duck again, so for example, right about here, we can then just press Shift Option V, and that is going to add those keyframes. And if they're not quite exactly where you want, you can then use the range tool and move them into place. And that looks pretty good with the cuts of this clip. So Shift Option C and then Shift Option V. It's also important to choose the right music for the type of video that you're making. So if your video looks like this, you don't want the music sounding like this. That's an obvious example, I realize, but sometimes finding a song that matches the tone and pacing of your video is difficult. It's not difficult with the sponsor of today's video, and that is Artlist. So watch how well Artlist can find us a song for the video. It is probably best to find a song that's medium fast, something cinematic and worldly for the genre. The mood should be exciting and will make the video theme travel. And if you move this song to what Artlist calls an artboard, as well as maybe the sound effects that you just heard and the stock clip that you just saw, your artboard will use AI to suggest to you other music, sound effects, and stock footage that will match the vibe of your video. Something that also comes in clutch is their AI search tool. So if you want to find a song that has a Blade Runner 2049 vibe to it to fit this clip that you have, it'll run through their massive database of high quality songs to find the perfect fit for you. It's the search and organizational features, the quality of songs, and the fact that their music plan comes with a boatload of downloadable sound effects that has kept me using Artlist for the past 8 years. But it is also so much more than that. Their Artlist Max plan gives you access to the highest quality stock footage out there, in my opinion, and that AI search tool works for this too. So if you need a close-up shot at night, you can find that instantly. This all-in-one plan comes with templates, LUTs, plugins, and their new AI voiceover tool, which rocked my socks off a few months ago when I started using it.
Prepare to have no socks.
I have loved Artlist for nearly a decade, and I would not be recommending it to you if I didn't think that you would too. So if you want to try it out for 2 months for free, click the link in the description, and thank you so much to Artlist for making today's tutorial possible. Let's hop into the next tip. So I think you'll love this tip as well if you don't already know it. So let's play this out so you can hear maybe what's wrong with it.
Great time. I've never had a day like this my entire life. Flying helicopters to making cheese.
So obviously the vocals of the song are clashing with Serge's dialogue here. And so what you can do, specifically if you get your music from a site like Artlist, which has stems and instrumentals, is you can download both the instrumental version, which has no vocals, and the vocals version. All you do is select both of them, throw them into a multicam clip. We'll just call this example. So I threw this on the timeline. I just ducked the audio when Serge is speaking and then when I speak over here. And it's as simple as going to where the voice starts, bringing up your angles, your multicam angles, switching to the instrumental version, and then right when you want the music to go back to the normal vocals, you click the vocal version. So it'll sound like this.
Their life, from flying helicopters to making cheese to milking cheese.
And then right here we have, I'm saying something, I don't know exactly what, probably something stupid, and we will hit the instrumental version, so it'll sound like this.
There's no way I'm not going in.
That way your voice isn't clashing with the vocals of the song. Something that is crucial to know how to do well is cutting to the beat and why you maybe should not cut to the beat. So let's watch this example sequence and then I'll show you a little trick that'll help you to cut to the beat better.
Cinematic.
Okay, so what you can do if you really have trouble cutting to the beat is pressing M on your keyboard every time you hear the beat of the song, every time you would bob your head to that song. So if we go through and I press M, okay, so you get the point. Basically, if you didn't have your clips edited, you maybe had a bunch of clips on the timeline and you're trying to figure out how to cut to the beat with the markers on your music, then you can just trim your clips to that marker, and that's going to basically have clips that cut to the beat. But the key is to not cut to the beat all the time, because if your clips are always changing every time there's a beat in the song, it'll get very old for your viewer, and you need that switch up in your viewer's mind to keep them engaged. So what you can actually do is then cut on the off beat, which would be right in the middle of these two. So here's an example where I switch it up. I cut on the beat, and then I also cut on the off beat to make things interesting and not get too repetitive. So these three right here, these three cuts are on the offbeat. They're right in between, and that just keeps it interesting and not as repetitive. So this example project ends here, but the music does not end here. As you can see, it ends all the way down here. So the amateur way of going about this would be to trim the music and then make sure you have this, maybe right click, select a fade, and just fade this out. But doesn't sound great, not what I would recommend. The more professional way and the better sounding way is to use the very end of the clip. So all you're gonna do, Command B, trim this off, I have this here, and we're going to trim off this end by pressing Option and right bracket. I'm gonna press V to disable this top clip, and I'm just gonna make markers here. That's the last beat. So this is where it should go black. This is where it should start to end. And then we're gonna right click. We're gonna create a fade, and we're gonna do the same for this. Right click, linear fade, and just drag this out. Turn this back on, and let's hear how this sounds. The thing is, you're working with what the music has. Like, the professionals who make the music end it in a great sounding way. So if you use that, splice things up and add them where they should be, you can get a great sounding ending as well. Also, something to point out is this sounded a lot like that reverb, that Cathedral trick that we did. You can also end your videos with that Shift H Cathedral trick. So that's another tip. If the ending's not that good to the song, that's a good way to end a video as well. But what if you have a song and you like specific sections of it, but not other sections? How do you go about splicing that, cutting that up so it sounds natural? So for example, let's pretend we like this beginning part of this song. And it extends into kind of this slow build up. But what you really want is the end of the music. So you want to go from this quiet part immediately to the faster part of the song. So you basically do the same thing here. So I'm going to press Command B to make a cut. We know that this is a beat, right? That's where that cymbal and everything else hits in. So we'll press Option right bracket to trim that off. And let's find the right point here. So on this part that you like, you want to find where that music builds in or where that beat is, where everything starts. So let me solo select, Option S. Whoops, there it is. There it is. Wow, we were pretty close. So if we have this here, and then we do that same thing we did in the previous example, we create some fades and maybe even extend this out because this is a buildup. And then just maybe -3 decibels. Try that. Something right about there. Let's hear how this sounds. See? it works well, and you're essentially editing the music to fit your video the way you want. Let me know which was your favorite tip in the comments down below, and if you want to learn to have better sounding voice audio, click this video right here. It should certainly help out. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already, and have a great day.